I think what Bethesda did was make a very, very hard decision and say to themselves, what is going to be fun for our players above all else? Is it going to be more fun to have them spend anywhere from 3 minutes to 45 minutes flying straight through a continuous galaxy to their next quest or their next location? Or is it going to be more fun to have them walking around the entire planet for hours to get to the other side? Or are we going to cultivate these experiences so that we can give the illusion of space exploration and a galaxy-wide travel without the negatives of all this bland, open nonsense space, right? Like,
right.
I think so much of No Man's Sky, like, that's a game that is loved today because of all the updates, but like so much of No Man's Sky is like, you want to go out there into this open world of nothingness and go forever. It's kind of like Minecraft, right? Like Minecraft was like, I'm just going to dig or build into the sky and just see what I can discover. But like Bethesda at the end of the day still wanted to craft a really good RPG with great writing and characters and moments. And I think they're trying to weigh like, how are we going to create this great narrative and story and writing and quests? Mm-hmm. How are we going to balance that with 1,000 planets? Or even somebody said we don't need 1,000 planets. We didn't need that many, Brian. Okay, how are they going to balance that with 100 planets? That's still way different than just one Skyrim landscape, one Fallout landscape. So I think at the end of the day, and I'm seeing this more and more as I play, the disjointedness of you can't actually fly your ship around and landing on planets and walking 10 minutes in one direction doesn't yield anything interesting. Mm-hmm. To me, that was the right decision. I feel like it was the right decision because I feel like as soon as you introduce the actual flying forever or actually walking around the planet forever, they can't create enough actual content, crafted content to fill infinite amount of space. We're talking about a game that's dev time would have been 15, 20 years.
That's another good point.
So
I agree with that.
They're kind of caught with their pants down on that one because like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Mm-hmm. And you look at something comparable like Mass Effect. I'm going to go with Mass Effect 1/2, for example. Mass Effect 1, you had like, okay, here's your planets, but you land and it's like straight up levels pretty much, right? Like you land, it's a Mass Effect level. Then you have like Uncharted Worlds, which we've heard Josh talk about a lot, and I agree with him. I mean, I love the Uncharted Worlds, but they kind of objectively suck because there's like nothing there. It's just a planet of nothingness with nothing to do. Mm-hmm. And then you get to Mass Effect 2 where they kind of changed it up. They took the criticism to heart and they're like, okay, now we have bland planets, but you kind of just scan for minerals, right? You don't actually land on them. And then every other planet is like a specific level. So you kind of find Bethesda taking this like nice middle ground where they're like, how can we give people the Bethesda experience on a galaxy-wide scale, but not go the No Man's Sky route where people are just playing for 6 hours without any crafted content, and it's just boring as hell. Like, people are complaining now that they run 10 minutes on a random planet and there's nothing to do. Imagine if Bethesda didn't limit any of this stuff. How often we'd be caught in that boring... Because it's another thing I'll paint for you guys. Like, I mean, most of you listening probably are playing the game, but like, it's kind of interesting how Bethesda like made this universe, right? Because like you get to a solar system and there'll be a planet, and when you click on the planet, it's like, yo, here is 3 landing spots, and each landing spot has something crafted or worth looking at. And then there's all this space on the planet, not where you land, that you can travel and explore. But those spots specifically are the crafted content. So there's this this way in which all across the galaxy there's plenty of opportunity for exploration. But they've also made the map kind of cultivate, crafted content. So I think it's genius the way they've done it. I think they treaded a very fine line. They were obviously going to get criticism either way what they did, but I'm really liking it. It's making the game really enjoyable to me. Another huge criticism I didn't mention way back at the beginning of this podcast, the maps. Oh, doggy, are the maps dog shit. They're horrible. Mainly just the local maps. And I think that has to do probably with like the amount of planets and the procedural generation that they didn't put the crafted effort in. Because like in Skyrim, it's like everything that's going to be there exactly as it is.
Sure.
Make the maps. So I think that's why they did that. But like, not only are the local maps really, really poor, but I'm constantly not knowing where to sell stuff, where to buy stuff, where to find like an inn to rest at, because none of that is told to me. It's just like, here's this huge open, because the cities are huge too. Like besides the planet themselves, the cities are huge. It's like, just wander around and hope you find it, and it can get kind of frustrating. So there's like...
Have you gotten to Nova yet? Is it Nova?
I don't think so. No, I'm only New Atlantis and Neon.
Neon. Oh, that's the one I was thinking of.
Neon. Yeah, I've been to Neon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude,
Is it pretty cool?
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, it just feels like I'm literally playing Cyberpunk. I'm not trying to be that guy, but like it just feels straight up like Cyberpunk.
That's what I wanted to hear.
That takes me back to like what I started this podcast with when I said there's the guy who's playing Starfield as a new IP who's not this Bethesda tech head. They're just wondering, like to them, I can see how someone would play this and think, what the hell were these developers doing? Shitty maps, shitty load screens, shitty menus, slow start. I don't know where the hell I'm going. I don't know where to buy stuff. I don't know where to sell stuff. Character animations. I just got done. I played Last of Us 2 on the PS4 years ago, and their faces looked light years ahead of this. And that's factually true. The fake, because there's actual mocap in those things. Mocap for everyone, right? So you're seeing people play like these contemporary games. Final Fantasy 16 that just came out. It's like, why does the mocap look so crap? Why are the maps crap? Why are the menus crap? And like, obviously, to someone who loves this game, knows Bethesda games, and is far in Starfield or playing it like us, people in the Discord like Wesley, Corey, and Dante, a bunch of people in there, Albino, who are loving this game, they're hearing what I'm saying, but they're going, yeah, but it's actually still a really good game, and I agree with them. But it's just like, it's so obvious to me why this game is criticized, because it's really got such an uphill battle. But anyways, once again, to go back into the good, totally went more into the negative. But what I'm experiencing so far, and obviously, like I haven't played enough to say this definitively, but like it seems like the writing for the quest is top tier Bethesda, on par with their best, maybe better.
Dante said that Vanguard quest line apparently was like worth a whole game, like in terms of the campaign or the length of it.
I'm hearing that several of these factions are like the length of a Halo campaign.
Yeah, that's insane to me. That gets me excited.
There's the Vanguard, there's the Free Ranger Galactic, there's Crimson Fleet. You can go get jobs at places, which is not straight up a faction, but you can do. And then there's even like little side quests I stumbled into that that are just really short but so unique and memorable. Like I don't want to, because like I want to be able to tell people that they can listen to this episode without being spoiled. So I'm not even going to say anything, but just like literally just I'm in space and I come across a ship and there's a story there, and it maybe only takes 20 minutes to get through, but I'm like, I'm never going to forget that moment. You know, kind of like Witcher 3 quest.
That's cool to hear.
So like the quest, the writing is so good. As far as Bethesda goes, the facial animation and the graphics are on a whole other level from anything they've ever done. There's parts of this game that just look insanely beautiful that I'm just like in awe of. So it's like kind of the best Bethesda's done on so many levels. The main story, I'm at the very end of it. Like I'm at the whole like, you know, in a normal game it'd be like finish up your activities or the game, because the game's
the point of no return.
That's where I'm at. So I'm actually just going and doing other things because I know there's a new game plus, but I'm going and doing other things. So I'm at the actual. You didn't know about that, Josh?
Are you implying it has an end?
Are you doing a thing, or do you not know this?
No, I really don't.
Okay, well, I won't spoil anything, but when you beat the main story, you automatically roll over into New Game Plus. And there is a lore and story reason that happens.
Okay, interesting.
It's really cool and really interesting. I do know what it is. I'm not going to say it here, obviously. But yeah, it's really cool, dude. Like, it's really unique what Bethesda's done.
Now suddenly the New Game Plus makes more sense in my mind.
Yeah. Like
I never did read into what they were, what that was going to mean.
Well, because Pete Hines said the game really starts once you beat the game. Well, that is true. It really is true. And but I still kind of wanted to do some other stuff before I went and finished.
Sure.
But I mean, so yeah, there's just, and that's the thing, right? Is like I'm listening to people like reviewers who are now in their third or fourth New Game Plus, and the things they're saying, dude, are just trippy, like crazy cool. And I can't even comment on it because I haven't even beat the game once, let alone did all the content. And then you have these people that are reviewing the game that have like 40, 50 hours in. It's like, guys, you just don't know the extent of this game. But anyways, the main story, I haven't seen how it concludes fully, but this is the best best main story in a Bethesda game by far.
That's awesome to hear. Wow.
Better than Skyrim, better than Fallout 3, better than Fallout 4.
You were saying something about that on the previous podcast, I think, about just how they usually aren't considered to be that well. It's pretty forgettable. Yeah. That's good to hear.
No, it's really memorable, and I don't think I like fully grasped what Bethesda was trying to do with their version of space, and it's not what I would have asked for, but I think it's what I want. I think I'm more happy with it than anything. Rather than take this like Mass Effect approach where it's like, oh, this is a space game like Star Trek. You have a crew and a ship and aliens and political alien threats and all that stuff.
Right.
Galactic wars. That's not the approach they took. The approach they took was, what if the Earth we live in and the NASA we know just continued on developing for hundreds of years and we actually started to explore space? What would that look like? That's what this game is. It's more about what would the future of our world look like if we were spacefaring, and we had like faster than light year travel.
And no first contact, apparently.
And yeah, I guess there's like in the game they have aliens that are like creatures, but not like, what do you want to call it?
Not humanoid.
Not humanoid, sentient in that way. Yeah, in that sense. But it's still kind of like, it's still kind of cool to me because it's like, it's just a different take on things, right? It's more a reflection of what humanity would do with this, like, because I know, like, you could say, like, oh, Mass Effect does that, Brian. Like, humanity took to the stars, yeah, but then it becomes so much about all these different species and planets. And
you're right. You're right.
This it doesn't. Yeah, this it just becomes. It continues to be about humanity and what it's like for them. So, I find the story compelling, the graphics and animation better than ever. The writing is top notch, and there's something very gamey going on with that fast travel load screen stuff I criticized the whole beginning of the episode. There's something very gamey going on there that's setting off endorphins in my head, and I'm hearing other people say something similar, and I don't quite know why it is, but it's really working. Like, I will, like, after we get done with this podcast, I'm gonna go down and start playing. I'm gonna get on, I'm gonna be in orbit. I'm gonna fast travel to another orbit. A ship's gonna come in. Maybe they'll talk to me, maybe I'll hail them, maybe we'll get in a ship battle. Maybe that won't happen at all. I'll land on a planet, I'll do a quest, something I didn't expect happens there. I'll leave the planet. I'll go back into orbit. Something crazy in space happens I didn't realize. Well, then I go and I travel over to another planet and I do more quests, and it becomes this just like, it's just me like traveling the galaxy, going planet to planet, hailing people in space, finding out different people's stories, seeing how things connect, what's going on in different places of space, and it's just got this really gamey thing going for me.
Do you think it's like a Pavlovian response, sort of, where you're just so used to, that's always the orbit stuff is more the tip of the iceberg. Like, here, this is where the fun begins. I'm about to jump into this, or this might happen here. It's kind of a jumping pad, a launch.
I think it is, and I think, like, when I started Starfield, everything was really slow for me. Like, I press the start button, and then I'd be like, okay, where's my inventory? Okay, there it is. Where's the map? Okay, yeah. I'd be like, oh, how do I get in space? Okay, I get in space by going to my ship and then get in the cockpit. Okay, How do I land on the planet? I gotta open the map. And there was so much of that going on, but I've played 20 some hours now, so it's muscle memory, So I'm not even thinking about it anymore. I'm like, oh, inventory, pull this out. Okay, oh, travel to land. Oh, spaceship, go. Okay, yeah, I gotta hail. I gotta take this ship out.
Yeah, you got learned.
And you learned it. And once all the systems kind of come together, even though I still think it's fair to say it's kind of disjointed and like load screen menu heavy, it just all kind of starts to synergize, and it's like really, really fun, and I just can't get enough of it. Yeah. So, TLDR on that, guys. Like, I talked about the review stuff. I talked about where I'm at, the positives, the negatives.
Game's awesome, dude.
The game is awesome. Like, this is definitely what Xbox needed. This is a must-have exclusive IP for the Xbox console. I'm loving. Me and Josh are doing this a lot this year. We're going into the games without nearly as much hype as we used to have in the past, and it's paying off in dividends, dude. I'm like enjoying this game so much more than I thought I would. I can't wait to get back to it. I don't think I'm willing to give a final score for myself, like, definitively, till I gotta be at least close to 100 hours, because like it doesn't even feel fair to do it if I go to New Game Plus. It feels like I gotta go to New Game Plus 3 or 4 times to feel like it's fair. But Starfield it's funny, because I was about to say it's better than everything I imagined, but then it's actually like not true, because like I imagined like full space travel and like walking around the planet, but the thing is, the fun I'm having and the excitement and joy I have to get back to it is better than I was expecting. So it's a huge win for me.
You even got up this morning like Wesley has been doing before
Dude, and
work.
I go to work at 3:30 in the morning. So I got out of bed at 1:30 in the morning to start playing this game, which is stupid, but I was in love, man.
That's
and then
cool though. That's
and then
cool.
I came upstairs and like when I happened to come upstairs, Erica was getting out of bed to use the restroom, and she was like, "Were you playing Starfield?" And I was like, "Yeah," and she laughed. So it was like, it was just cool. But like, yeah, for me, this game's really good. It beat my expectations. I freaking love it. And here's the thing, I said that Final Fantasy 16 was unequivocally going to be my game of the year. It still is right now, but I can't believe the thoughts entered my head. Could Starfield potentially?
Oh, competition!
Yeah, because like Zelda, Resident Evil 4, Dead Space, none of that stuff had even close to
entered the chat, but Starfield is showing up.
But Starfield's like, ooh man, is this gonna happen for me? I'm like, no. So, Josh, why don't you give? And I know, man, look at this. We're 50 minutes into the podcast, which is gonna be like about an hour long. I could have just recorded myself almost, Josh. I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologize.
You thought you were gonna podcast today. You were just listening to me podcast.
You were wrong.
What's your impressions on Starfield based on your 3 or 4 hours?
We said beforehand, guys. I told Brian, I was like, you dominate that conversation, buddy, because you played more of it. And I'll have my turn with Baldur's Gate. But so yeah, I'm about 3 to 4 hours in, guys. I'm on. What's the first place you get to?
Is that New Atlantis?
New Atlantis, yeah. I always want to say New Horizons. I think I'm getting that confused with something in Mass Effect.
Another game or something. Or that's Animal Crossing, isn't it?
It is, bro. That's cool. That's cool. Yes. So I just joined up with Constellation. So that's all I'm gonna say in terms of plot details. But that's all where I'm at. I'm in the building and I've walked around and talked to a couple people. That's about it. Early impressions are that this game is really fun. I am not having that experience of a lot of people's criticisms where they're saying the game is got a slow start, only because I'm having fun right away. So the fact that everyone is,
to be fair,
the fact that that's like kind of a criticism and everyone's saying it gets better, but it gets like really, really good, like in terms of better, that's getting me excited because I'm already having fun. Like, did I want to be a miner or something? No, but I wasn't a miner for more than like 5 minutes. And then I went into a combat scenario, and then it quickly got me onto a ship, and I'm just walking through the beginning. But I mean, all that type of stuff that transpires in that like first hour, that's awesome to me, and it was enough for me to get me interested in the grander scope. Walking around New Atlantis is really fun. That's where I kind of spent like a good hour or two, just kind of tooting around, and I ran in. My favorite part of the game so far that I've experienced in that short time was running into this girl and just having a conversation with her. I was just going up to every NPC I could talk to, like I could interact with, since you can interact with all of them, and seeing what they would say. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm not using Mass Effect as a comparison to drag that game down when I say that I was always kind of bummed that you couldn't just talk to every NPC, even if they just have one line. I always really like when games let the NPCs do that. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying that. But there was one in particular I just thought was a rando NPC, and she starts having a conversation with me and talking about how she's a janitor and she just wants to move on and go see the stars and stuff, and just having a conversation that kind of started like almost like a miscellaneous quest type activity thing. And just her expression, I noticed, was like really on a different level than what previous Bethesda titles have been. And yeah, I mean, it's been 8 years since Fallout 4, so you'd hope so, but it was just really, really cool to see. There was a lot of life to her, I felt like, and I that part was like one of those things where I kind of just, when I finished my session at the time and I walked away, it just gestated, and it just put me in a good state of the game of like, I can't wait to get back to it, because I just loved how that felt. And so far, my favorite thing is just the conversations. I think the combat's really fun. Every criticism you've mentioned, Brian, is definitely valid out of what little I played. The inventory management, you're easily over encumbered, which seems silly. Maybe that changes later on, but early on, but
not really.
That's unfortunate. But
I mean, you can upgrade it, of course. But the
only thing I think I'm not liking is just the hub map, or lack thereof, like you already said. So the fact that it doesn't really have that definitely seems like a sore spot, and I am kind of wondering, like not in a judgmental way, but what was the mentality behind not giving this for actual generated areas, made areas, you know, because I can understand not the procedurally generated stuff that I can wrap my brain around completely, but in terms of the stuff that you've actually built content around, it's interesting. But
maybe they thought it would feel really weird to have, because it would stand out like a sore thumb if like, oh, I have maps for places that are curated, but like, oh, if I go here and there's no map, clearly they didn't care as much.
That's possible. But the combat's very fun. I think I'm gonna like this a lot. I like it more than, say, Fallout's gunplay, and that's not a knock on Fallout. I'm just enjoying it more. As of right now, I mean, 4 hours in, this is all just hyperbole for me, but I think in terms of their franchise IP, Starfield's going to sit very comfortably in the middle for me. In terms of Elder Scrolls still being at the toppermost of the poppermost, that won't really ever be penetrated. Starfield sliding in there as the second, getting me very interested about the future of this franchise, and then Fallout being below. Someone on Reddit said something like, Starfield is just Fallout without the depression. And I thought, okay, based off what I played and heard, I could see that. And I know a lot of people are huge Fallout fans. I'm not knocking that. It's just, you know, in terms of the setting and the desolation that's there, it sounds like this is a better version.
I might be with you, Josh. It's really hard for me because I find Fallout 3 to be so good. I love it so much. But outside of that, like, it kind of does feel like Starfield, I might like it more than... But there's no chance. There's no
it's
chance.
Early.
It's Elder Scrolls is not touching.
No,
it's never going to touch Elder Scrolls.
That's a huge gap between Starfield.
Yeah, it's not even close.
But,
not even close.
The last thing I'll say about the game, though, is it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to play it again. I love that everyone. The whole time that we've seen people in the community and out of the community playing Starfield and Baldur's Gate. No one's really pitted those two against one another like I initially thought may happen. I'm glad to be wrong about that. Everyone's just kind of celebrating that we're at this point with games again to have this much to play. And it makes me excited, even though I'm probably not going to play Starfield for a while now. I've kind of accepted that. I can't wait to play it again, and seeing the impressions that everyone's having is only making me more excited. Whereas before, too much of one thing can usually put me off. With Starfield, it's just getting me excited. I'm just happy that my friends are having such a blast with it. I will say, I think in the case with this game, I could see it being a 7. I could see it being an 8, a 9, or a 10. Well, I'd say 7, 8, or a 9. But
yeah, I don't see how anyone could give this game a 10. It's got too many problems.
I got to redact that part. But I can see it being within all those. Like, as in, I look at it from the perspective of there's a lot to push it up to 7. Yeah. There's a lot to push it up to 8 or 9, as opposed to, what's keeping it from getting an 8 or 9 or 10, you know, in case of like IGN and GameSpot's review. I just feel that this game should have been a review in progress across the board. I think I was really surprised that they were coming out with scores for this game, because especially when the conversation is shifted to this gets really good the more you play it. I'm seeing it on Twitter myself of everyone saying like, I can't stop thinking about it, or like this game just keeps getting better. That's exactly what you want to hear. Not just with a game with a slow start, but also just with any game you play that you've anticipated. So, you know, I'm not saying that it invalidates Dan's 7 or GameSpot 7 or anything, or anyone who maybe gave it in between a 7 and 10, but I just feel like a game of this size, of this scale, with such a broad approach to how people are going to play it differently, should have been a review in progress.